Is it working? Anybody online? Should be working. Perfect. So yeah, I changed the place. Hopefully I have more connection here. Connection with my cats as well. Last time we were disconnected. I have more network here, but it's also filled with cats. So we might have other kinds of interruptions, but friendlier ones. So I hope I can focus because, as you can see, the cat is glued to me. Anyway, let's see. It's working. Perfect. So, live Q&A. If you are joining for the first time my channel or this kind of live, my channel is about natural bodybuilding. You can ask any question you want during 1 hour, more or less. But you can also ask me any question about topics I enjoy or have some expertise in. So it can be literature, can be philosophy, can be video games, can be travels, can be finance, anything, like anime. Yeah. Today I started the live Q&A also differently than last time. I was already asking you in the community tab about some topics to vote for, and you voted for two equally weighted. So it was the whole controversy about Mike Israetel's PhD and the whole science-based controversy around it, and my road to 18-inch arms. So I will start with that, just to give time maybe to people to join, think of some questions. I got a few already that were sent on Messenger or Instagram or on the posts, I believe. So I will check those after that. But yeah, gonna start with the topics I just mentioned. So yeah, the first one, Mike Israetel's PhD. I already made a little video about it. You can check my latest long form video. And, I didn't really want to add to the controversy itself, but like think more in terms of what can we get from that? What can we conclude and build over this? So trying to be a little bit more positive, let's say. And I was giving basically like a list of 10 red flags for people who would be new in the fitness industry, or beginner lifters who don't know much yet about lifting, and basically trying to give advice about how to navigate this social media fitness. What are the typical red flags about influencers on this space? So you can already go check that out to have a rough idea. But yeah, I think the main conclusion that will be drawn from this whole situation is that, unfortunately, YouTube and social media is not tailored towards education, but more entertainment. And I can really see that, now that I post on YouTube and that I was, trying to figure a little bit how it works, the algorithm, things like that, observing other channels. You can really see that the way the algorithm works is that it rewards, of course, clicks and views. So it's about clickbaiting, it's about bold claims, controversies, things like that. That's what brings a lot of activity to a channel, a lot of views. So yeah, it doesn't reward education first and foremost. It's about engagement first, and fortunately, you get more engagement from, most of the time, let's say, more frivolous things than education. So yeah, those channels that get to millions of subscribers, millions of views, they usually have to take the path of more entertainment, more clickbait, even rage bait. At this point, you can suspect many of those creators in the science-based space to maybe like do some kind of shitty videos and have very ridiculous claims just for other creators to respond, and so they create a buzz, and their names and their channel appear in more results, and so it's more visibility for them. So it's more advertising possibilities, it's more commissions, it's more collabs, it's more money. So I think, yeah, it's gonna stay like that. They have a big momentum. They have a huge subscriber base, a lot of views. So the momentum is gonna keep going for them. But at least now, I would say the good point is that people who know better, intermediates, advanced lifters, they now can really say and see very clearly how much bullshit those creators, content creators, have been spurring for quite a while, and have credentials that don't mean much. So that's something. Hopefully, it opens the eyes of a lot of people, and I could see many comments suggesting that. So that's a good thing. And yeah, hopefully, there are gonna be more educators on YouTube in the future rather than entertainers. Of course, you need some entertainment in a video just to keep people, watching the video. If it's completely boring, if you try to be too educational, strictly educational, very serious, I can understand that it's a problem for YouTube. But yeah, it's an alchemy, and hopefully, yeah, it's gonna go more towards education from now on, maybe thanks to that controversy. But I have my doubts. Yeah. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I must say I was not that surprised about this whole situation. Once you have been lifting for a while, not even long, you don't need years of experience to realize that these guys don't offer much value when it comes to training. And well, I've been studying and teaching in quite a few universities, so I'm also not completely surprised by this scandal of Mike's PhD. There are quite a lot of universities that are diploma mills. Basically, they function like businesses, so their first interest is about getting people subscriptions, and basically the quality is not the top priority when it comes to their diplomas. So even though, yeah, there are still quite a lot of, fortunately, top level universities and top level academics. I'm not at all, let's say, a skeptical person when it comes to the importance of having higher education. I am part of it myself, but yeah, not that surprising, unfortunately. This is a trend that has been going on for a few decades now. Basically, since universities started to be more and more like a compulsory step for you to get a valuable diploma, and so it is directly linked with employability. From the moment universities were a means to get a job, of course, the level had to drop. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, that's how it is. But I'm not going to shit on higher education. Uh, I still think there are a lot of amazing minds and amazing, let's say, degrees and paths you can take at universities that can teach you a lot and make you a critical thinking person. Um, but yeah, not too surprising, and it casts a lot of doubt and you could say shadow on especially the field of exercise science. Most of the, let's say, flows about exercise science are known for quite a while now, but now it's very apparent. So that's my 2 cents about it. Um, yeah, we will see how this controversy is gonna evolve. Probably they gonna kind of ignore this thing from now on. People will just forget, and beginners who will discover them, they will not know about it, and life will go on for these so-called doctors and scientists. But yeah, again, like I said in quite a few of my videos, I pay quite a lot of attention to what science has to say when it comes to fitness, and I do take it into account, but I try to take it with a grain of salt and see whether it corresponds to anecdotal evidence from wisdom, basically wisdom, experience, from what we know from decades of people who have been lifting. And most of the time, studies tend to confirm what we already knew. So it's not worthless. It's good to have a scientific confirmation. Um, but yeah, more and more you can definitely at least say that influencers that use science as a label for their brand, like science-based, evidence-based, if they heavily focus on this, you probably have in front of you more like a businessman rather than an educator. So yeah, that's my 2 cents about it. Gonna move on because yeah, I'm already ranting about this thing for like 10 minutes. So I'm gonna move on to the next topic. It was a tie when you had to vote on the community tab, and it was about the road to 18 inches arms. Not quite there yet at all. So good news, bad news. Bad news is when I when I started this, let's say, project in June, I think it was the end of June, I decided to get to 18 inches because I measured 17 but I'm actually not quite there yet at 17. Like I consistently get 16.7. I realized when I measure. Probably, yeah, I underestimated the effect of the pump when I measured the first time, 17 inches, because it was like, I guess it was in the night, like 10 hours after training or something like that. So I didn't think I had a pump and that the measurement would be really different from the morning. But actually, yeah, I had probably a long lasting pump, because now when I check my arms in the morning, as I said, I consistently get 16.7, something like that. So I'm a little bit further from the goal than I thought initially. And I've been for 1 month on holidays as well. So basically, almost no progress since then. I can visually see progress, especially on my lateral head of the triceps. But when it comes to pure measurement, for now, yeah, it's not really budging. But this takes time. It's like sometimes you have almost nothing moving for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and then kind of all of a sudden you have a little spurt of growth that was probably there somehow, but kind of hiding. So yeah, uh, that's the road to 18 inches that I started. So yeah, end of June. So that's already 3 months and a half, but for now, no progress. I wanted to reach it in either in a year or by 2027 New Year's Eve. I think yeah, it's definitely doable. I do focus on arms in my training now, so I think it's doable. But we will see. If you see this and you are not subscribed yet to the channel, subscribe and follow me on this journey, especially if you're interested yourself in getting some big guns. So yeah, that's it for that topic. And now I'm gonna answer questions. So I'm gonna check those that I already had received. Some of them are under the post. So let me go check it. Yeah. From Aline La Machine in French. So I'm gonna have to translate on the go. Gourmandise, quelle est ta collation préférée avant et après l'entraînement? So, what's your favorite snack before and after lifting? I don't really focus on a snack. Well, before I go to the gym, I like to have coffee, like half an hour before. It does help. Especially, I only drink coffee on the days I lift. So I don't have this getting used to effect. I was never drinking coffee before in my life. So, I'm not at all, I think, in this state where you have drunk so much coffee in your life that it doesn't have much effect anymore. So that's a good thing. When I drink coffee, I do feel this little boost, this little hype. So yeah, coffee before. And yes, it's not a snack, but my first meal I like to have quite enough protein and carbs, but not a very heavy meal. So it's going to be almost every day 4 or 5 eggs and a little bit of carbs. It can be just a slice of bread with some cheese. Yeah, I like to eat quite light before going to the gym. Like I eat 2 or 3 hours before, and so I'm not, full to go to train, and have this coffee. And after that, I like to have my shake of whey and creatine, and yeah, something that I do that is quite uncommon, I guess, is I have raw carrot juice. So I just blend a few carrots and have like a full glass of raw carrot juice. It's full of vitamins. It's very healthy. It's good for the skin. It gives a little, a little glow to the skin. Uh, it's basically an old school trick. I believe Steve Reeves was mentioning that, and he was also putting some raisins for also just to help with the natural glow. But I do it more for health reasons. It's just a very healthy juice to have. And yeah, so that's it for snacks. What else? Mindset. Qu'est-ce qui a été le déclencheur de ta passion pour la musculation? Quelle a été la plus grosse difficulté mentale au début? So what did trigger my passion for bodybuilding, and what was the hardest mental hurdle at the beginning? My passion for it. Well, first of all, I started to lift for health. At that time, I was not that much interested in, muscle and getting big or things like that. I didn't really expect I could achieve great things in that department. I just understood that muscle is healthy. Muscle helps with, you know, being independent when you're older, not falling off, not tripping off, things like that, like simple things. And also metabolically, it helps with insulin, like basically all those benefits drew me to the gym at first. And I thought that if it helps also with my aesthetic physique, then it's also a nice added benefit, but I didn't really see it coming. So that's how it started. But then I got passionate because of the process. I just realized I love lifting. I love learning about it. I love experimenting. I love the feeling of exerting myself. Um, I love the feeling of the pump. I still remember my first lat pump. Feeling your lats all pumped was like, wow. My first pec pump. Amazing feelings. Then you see the progress in the mirror, and it's also very addictive. What I like so much about it is that you can see a lot of progress in the numbers. So compared to many other sports, you have a very clear vision of your progress. So it's very motivating. Week from week, you can see the numbers go up, and mentally, it helps a lot to stay on track. And then in the mirror as well. And this translates to feeling, like you look better, you feel stronger. All of this is just like very addictive in a way, but addictive in a good way. You just get used to feeling so much better. So yeah, I would say that's what got me passionate. Um, yeah, and basically also what was a big help for me was discovering lifters from the silver era. It really opened my eyes to the fact that bodybuilding is not about those Mr. Olympias that are, full of gear and basically become mass monsters, which was never something that attracted me or knew about even, So uh, the silver era really showed me what can be achieved naturally if you are gifted and dedicate your life to it, and maybe also a little bit of luck when it comes to genetics, obviously. But at the very least, yeah, it showed me that you can have very aesthetic physiques, even if you get a fraction of that, like let's say half the results of a Reg Park. Uh, you can be pretty glad, So this was also a big motivator for me. It really made me realize, you can be natural and not just lift only for health reasons. You can also achieve a pretty aesthetic physique, pretty impressive physique. So yeah, that would be my answer to that. Mm, the next question. Quelle est l'habitude la plus bizarre que tu as prise depuis que tu fais de la muscu? So what's the strangest habit you have taken since you started lifting? Maybe doing live streams wearing a tank top. That now I realize that looks. If you think about it, for someone who doesn't lift, that's pretty weird. No, weird habits. Define weird, of course. From someone external, maybe even just taking whey protein shakes 2 or 3 times a day can look a little weird. And yeah, sometimes I take up to 3 shakes, but it's because my dose is quite small. So yeah, maybe what was the strangest for me? And actually, yeah, it can also be this question can also be linked with the mental hurdle of the previous question. I didn't answer that. What was weird for me and kind of hard, but not that much, was more weird, unnatural, was to trust the process of bulking. Because, um, as you may know, I used to be obese as a kid and have, like those moments in my adult life as well when I would get fatter and then slim down doing cardio. So most of my life, my whole life basically, has been spent when it comes to fitness, spent from a lens of trying to trim down, trying to shrink, trying to get slimmer, trying to eat less, trying to pay attention a lot to not overeat. And I had to do this leap of faith after a few months of lifting, and I realized that I was enjoying so much the gym that I was exerting myself to a point I had to really intensify my recovery tactics, and I had to sleep better, I had to eat more, I had to reintroduce carbs, because when I started I was still pretty much on keto diet, and I realized this doesn't work anymore. It works when you're not too active, and I quite knew about it theoretically, but when you are used to eat and live in a certain way, unless you are proven wrong about it, you have a resistance to change, right? So for the first few months, like 3 or 4 months, I believe, I was still pretty low carb and not eating that much, like 2-3 meals a day, I guess, still. And I really had to put myself in the skin of someone who wants to get big and eat more. Uh, so I really had to let go and just eat as much as I feel like, almost, and see what will happen. And at that time, I thought, oh, maybe I'm gonna, get really fat from that. But actually, no, I was actually eating to my, let's say, lean bulk amount of calories. I've been dealing with that pretty well. So I guess when I started, I was around 15, 16% body fat. And since then, I've gained quite a lot of muscles, but not that much fat. So my percentage is pretty much the same, probably around 17, 18. And yeah, at first it was a bit weird for me to think in terms of bulking instead of not trying to be as slim as possible. But yeah, we worked, and I really don't regret it. So yeah, that was that for that question. No questions in the chat yet. Mm, so don't hesitate if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will answer now to other ones I had before. So, yeah, I got one earlier today from Quentin. Quentin, if you're watching, I'm gonna answer now. I wrote it down here. Yeah. So, how do you organize your sets? Do you do warm up sets? And what progression? So, how do I organize my sets? Well, it's it's evolving quite a lot. You cannot sets are of course related to volume, and you cannot separate volume from intensity and frequency, right? So it's all about, you have to see your whole system of training when it comes to your sets. In my case right now, I'm focusing a little bit more on gaining pure strength. So a little bit more intensity and a little bit less volume. So I'm actually doing most of the time 2 sets per exercise, and I tend to do 2 or 3 exercises per muscle group. So that would be from 4 to 6 sets per session per muscle group, 3 times a week. That's the general guideline, let's say. And then depending on what I want to focus on, which muscle I want to bring up a little bit more, uh, I would do a little bit more than that. So it could be 3 sets or even 4 for some exercises that I want to be my, let's say, bread and butter. I tend to also do some scheme that you could call a reverse pyramid type of scheme. So instead of progressing in weights to a top set with, let's say, your hardest intensity there, I actually start with the highest load and aim for 5, 6, 7 reps on some exercises. Not everything is like this, but like my bench press typically, some other exercises like my T-bar row. I start with my heaviest load actually, and then I do a second and a third set with less weight. The point is to attack those lifts with a state of being as fresh as possible, so I can progress on the strength aspect of things. But of course, you have to be warmed up enough to do that. So I don't warm up much. I like to do the minimum, let's say, when it comes to warm ups. But you also have to see how you're feeling to be able to do that. I precisely decided to do this because I felt that for quite a few months now, many months, I have the same program. I'm having a good groove with my lifts. I don't have nagging pain, injuries. Everything feels good. So I want to push. I want to take advantage of that to try to progress more in terms of strength and intensity. So, yeah, I decided to have a little bit more this kind of strategy right now. But yeah, if you don't feel that you're in that privileged state and you need quite a lot of warm up for your joints, then maybe it can make more sense to actually have more of a pyramid uh, set, or something like a top set and back of set. So when you basically do like 2 3 sets that are warm ups, like you really consider them like warm ups, and then you go all out on one set. But personally, yeah, it's not very natural for me to go that way, that route, because I like to treat each set like my results depend on it. So most of my sets, even if it's like a higher rep range, or I consider it like the second set after my big heavy set, I still consider them necessary, and I still see the necessity to go close to failure for them. So my last video, I posted quite a lot of footage from me training, and you can see that most of my sets I go quite close to failure, sometimes to failure. Most of the time, I would say 1 to 0 rep in reserve. But yeah, of course, also it depends on the lift. You want to be more conservative with some lifts like the bench press. If you don't have a spotter, for instance, your the joints that are involved, if you know they are a weak link for you, you have to adapt all of that to those variables. So, you know, there's no, I don't think there's a magical formula when it comes to sets. Basically, everything can work. It's all about what do you want to achieve and where are you at now. Hard sets work with 2 3 minutes rest. Pyramid sets, back off sets after top set. All of that can work. I think the best is to have a little bit of everything, I would say. You have to also just acknowledge the fact that it's gonna depend on the muscle group, the, the, the exercises themselves. See what feels good, what doesn't feel good, For example, when I think of my biceps training, I tend to do my incline curls. I like to do them in a drop set kind of framework, because I have another lift that just is a little bit more suitable for heavier loads, more controlled. So I'm using the arm blaster, this kind of plate you can have in front of your body, and I use it with dumbbells. It's friendlier on my elbows. So, and I just stay against the cable station, so I'm basically locked and I cannot cheat. And it's very safe because it's the dumbbell, and basically, yeah, I can really go for like 4 to 6 7 reps on that, and it feels good. So I prefer to go heavy on that than on something like the incline curl, even though I still go heavy on it, but more like towards 10 to 12 reps. And because if you go much heavier than that, it can also be a little bit more tricky with your biceps being so stretched. So I prefer to do your standard straight sets with the arm blaster, and then do more like drop set with the with the incline curl. Sorry. So yeah, you have to see depending on the lift, depending on your program, but everything can work. It's all about, does it make sense for your program and your goals? And this, well, you can learn either by experience and just getting to see what has worked for other people, or you can ask for someone to look at your program and see if it makes sense. Anyways, do we have questions? Oh, it's already 40 minutes, so this this goes so fast. It's pretty cool, but I don't see the time passing when I do this. Let's see, maybe on Instagram, because last time I had one or two people who asked me something there for some reason. I mean, you do whatever you want, but you can also just write it down on the community post, or well, you can write it here. But yeah, if you are not available for the live, then it's okay. I understand. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there is one. So if there are no questions in the chat, this would be the last one. Fred, any advice about plateaus when you're advanced? That's a tricky one. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but if you're asking that, I guess it means you consider yourself advanced. But I would say, by definition, if you are advanced, it means you have figured out how to overcome your plateaus. And I would say what someone needs to overcome a plateau may not be exactly the same as someone else, Maybe to overcome a plateau, you need to just do something different than what you've done before. And so for you, it may take the shape of more intensity instead of crazy volume. And for someone else, could be the contrary. So that's my first thought. And also bear in mind, I am not advanced yet myself. I am intermediate, I would say, for, let's say, from most angles you can imagine. So when it comes to strength standards, I've been checking most of the lifts I do, I'm like in the intermediate range. Some of them more advanced. I'm a bit stronger when it comes to arm isolation and pulling movements in general. And I'm quite weaker when it comes to pressing. And it's not so surprising. I'm quite arm dominant. I have pretty long arms, not the longest, but there is probably some influence of that. And when it comes to my experience and my muscle development, I would, think it makes sense to call myself intermediate now, not advanced yet. So Yeah, bear in mind, I'm also not advanced to, I would say, advise another advanced lifter. I would have to be advanced myself first. But yeah, if you're advanced, I think by definition you should know what strategies you should try to overcome a plateau. Typically advanced lifters, they have to start to think about getting more out of less weight, refining strategy, refining technique. But it's just probably what every intermediate needs to do, but to the level max. So it's about knowing yourself, but after quite a few years of lifting, you should know yourself enough and know if it's about time to maybe crank up the volume, or maybe the level of intensity or frequency. So yeah, sorry if I can't really help you on this one. um, if you're quite advanced, let's say in the intermediate stage, I think just also maybe try to have fun at the gym, experiment, try to do something that for you maybe never really made sense, you know so you avoided it for your whole lifting journey, and so it means there might be something there for you. There might be a path to a little bit of a growth left in an unexplored path for you. And it can be refreshing. It can keep you engaged in your training, even after all that time, because it's completely different from what you used to do before. So yeah, I think, yeah, even though I'm not advanced, this is the advice I could give to an advanced lifter. Not from the standpoint of someone who is an expert, but just in a way, common sense, you see. Mm, when you are very advanced in something, it's often a good idea to try to be a beginner again, keep a beginner's mind, like we say in Zen. Keep a sense of discovery, a sense of curiosity, and a sense of enjoyment. I think enjoyment is a very underrated aspect of training, and it's probably one of the main drivers of hypertrophy. It's a condition, because if you don't enjoy going to the gym, after one point, you will just surrender. You will just stop going, and it will become a chore, and you will just sandbag. You will not do the job correctly. So enjoy the process. You need to maybe choose more lifts that you really enjoy doing, rather than only doing lifts that maybe are supposedly optimal, but maybe you don't really like them for some reason. Someone may enjoy one lift and another doesn't enjoy it. It can depend on so many things, like your leverages and things like that. And some lifts don't agree with you. So yeah, I would say think about it like that, like more enjoyment, more experimentation, I would say, could be a way. Okay, 50 minutes almost. Great. Is there any question in the chat? Nope. So last time there was quite a conversation going on in the chat and quite a few questions. Not this time, so it's been more about the prepared questions. But anyway, I enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you can even, before any Q&A, send it to me by DM on Instagram, and I can answer to them either in a video or in a live Q&A like these ones. I think I will keep doing this maybe once a month, because I want to keep also putting out some content, some educational videos. But yeah, I enjoy this format quite a lot. The interactive aspect of things, the fact that I talk about topics that I know you care about because you ask about it. So it's very entertaining. And yeah, so that will be it for this live Q&A. Don't hesitate to drop a comment, drop a like, to subscribe if you are interested in natural bodybuilding, in techniques from the silver era. More specifically, I really try to bring back this kind of wisdom in my videos. So that's another thing about it. And yeah, drop a DM if you have any question for the next live Q&A, and stay tuned for the next one. See you. Bye.